I don't know if you could have found a better time for both of these teams, for the Cowboys, for both of these teams to be playing. Because if you're the Cowboys, this is when you want to play the Eagles. You're at home, where you've had a great record against the Eagles recently. You've been playing really well with a great home field advantage against everybody recently. And the Eagles are starting to struggle a little bit. And we know the 49ers have said they understand how to defend Jalen Hurts now. They know if you're able to contain him in the pocket, he is not a pocket passer. He likes to get outside of it. He likes to run a little bit more. He likes to get outside and see the downfield a little bit better. So if you can contain him, you can bring pressure on him, and it becomes a problem. That was their solution, and they had a great game against him last week. Now, we know partially that was they were healthy, and they felt like they were going full force. Philadelphia not fully healthy, but the Cowboys are not dealing with the fully healthy Eagles either. Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites in this game. The Eagles in the last 5 games are giving up 29.4 points a game.
Whew.
That's not a great stat against an offense that's looking really, really good, and a quarterback who's in the MVP conversation right now because of how well he's throwing the football. We know the run game's still not there fully, but the passing game has been electric, and the Eagles don't seem to be stopping too many people right now. What do you see in this game, Jacob?
Well, I'll tell you that, like you said, the Cowboys won the last 5 home matchups against the Eagles, and we have another trend that's working in our favor really well. The teams that play the 49ers the following week are 7-20 over the last 2 seasons.
That's true.
Absolutely love that stat because the Niners are so physical, they take something away from you.
That is, I will say, I'm not sure 100% that will carry over in this game because it wasn't a game in the second half. So I think if you play them tough the entire game, then it means it's a little bit more. But I don't think the Eagles really tried that hard in the second half, did they?
They were still taking those hits.
They were, but I don't like you're taking hits from second stringers. And
No, dude, go look up some of the highlights. Trent Williams is erasing Eagles.
That's true. Trent Williams was doing really well in that game. But no, but I see what you're saying. We can also throw in the turnover battle right now. Interesting part in the first game because Dallas outplayed the Eagles a lot in that first game. We're down at the end. They could have taken the lead. Of course, Mike McCarthy.
1st and goal at the 5 with 30 seconds to go, down 5 points.
And Mike McCarthy can't get the plays in time. And
then we have somebody false start, and you just melt. I mean, it's...
And you know, they had the mistakes that cost them. However, in that game, the Eagles were +1 in the turnover column.
Right.
So far this season, Dallas is +8 in the turnover column. The Eagles are -2. So this is a turnover battle where that was kind of an anomaly of the season so far. I believe Dallas in the last 3 or 4 games has had 2 turnovers a game on other teams. So Dallas right now is playing as well as they've played. They're going into this 5-game stretch we talked about. They beat Seattle. Now they're going up against the Eagles at home.
This is where it really starts.
This is where if you can get momentum can keep pulling you. And, then you go, okay, well now we could win, we could win all 5 of these games. But especially when 2 or 3, and then we're sitting pretty for an NFC picture to maybe even get a bye week, possibly come in there and play. We're right back in the playoff picture at a very high level, and we're back in the division record that the Eagles are not going to run this division for the next 5-6 years as they thought they were going to be able to do. With all that being said, this is a point where the Cowboys historically, not this season, historically,
come
up short and disappoint their fans.
Come on.
But that's historically. That's not this team, right?
That's not this team at all.
All right.
No, and it's the NFC East. There's never been a repeat champion. So,
I mean, not never, but...
Well, okay.
It's been a while.
In recent history.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. So if we're going to say that it has not been a repeat champion in a while, that the Cowboys could come back and win this, they're 3.5-point favorites. Do they cover 3.5 points, Jacob?
Dak Prescott is having the best season of his career to this point, but as you mentioned, this is the time of the year where they start to fall apart. I think this year's a little bit different, though. I talked about it earlier in the week and last week. Dak is building a lead on opponents, and that's why his numbers are godly this season, unlike previous years where he's trying to play catch-up the entire time because they got put in a hole early. I think the Cowboys do take care of business here at home and cover the 3.5 against the Eagles. I haven't worked out the tiebreakers in the division. I'm not sure where that lies. I'm pretty sure the Eagles still have the nudge. So I think we have to get 1 game above them. But you're right in the mix for the NFC and the division if you take care of business today or this weekend.
Yeah, and you do have, if it goes to a 3-team tiebreaker, then the 49ers have that tiebreaker right now because they've beaten both of you guys. Right. But tiebreaker scenarios, you have to figure out, common opponents, I'm sure, in NFC and the divisional opponents, and I haven't looked at what they're doing.
We can worry about that week 17.
Yeah, exactly. Once we get down a little bit, because the Eagles right now are struggling, and this could be a part of the season where they drop 2 or 3 of their next games, including this one. I don't have them winning this game. I think the Cowboys can win this game.
Really?
I think historically they have underperformed in situations like this.
Okay.
But they're playing well right now. The Eagles are beat up and down. I think the Cowboys can win this game. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, but I do think they can cover 3.5.
We'll take it. I'm going to get you a Cowboys jersey, and you can wear it on
gross.
Sunday. Yeah. You can know what a winner feels like.
What a winner feels like.
What a regular season winner feels like. You can.
Are you going to give me an Aikman jersey?
No, that's a regular season winner. Season winner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a Tony Romo jersey. Let's go. But yeah, this is a game for Cowboys fans. It's a Sunday Night Football is going to be,
and it should be.
And yeah, it should be a marquee matchup. It's going to be a big one. I think that everything building up to it, this is the leadership of Dak Prescott coming through, where he's going to be able to get this team up for it enough that they're going to be able to go out, and CeeDee Lamb's going to want to show out. He's been having an amazing season. I think he's kind of, as much as he's talked about, the reality of when you can have someone as dominant as him as wide receiver, it makes everything else so much easier.
Or when you just learn that, hey, we have him out there, let's just feed him.
But that's my point. But that's my point is you throw it to him enough that now they're having to allocate more and more resources to that.
Right.
Now Brandon Cooks is open. Now Ferguson is getting a lot more opportunities. And I think you're opening up the field to a lot more activity and also pulling back a little bit on the pass rush because they're having to allocate so many resources to stopping CeeDee Lamb that you have to kind of change up everything else you're doing. And that's one of the that's what, once you can go to him and he's making catches in double coverage. Now we got to pull a safety over on the other side. And it lets you be able to do some more things in that offense. It lets Dak be able to get those numbers. So if you add in the 150 that CeeDee Lamb's going to get, and then he can go out and throw the ball to another 150 yards to Brandon Cooks, who's another great receiver, and Ferguson's over there in his play, and their connection's getting better. It's as long as CeeDee Lamb is playing at this level, I think he's really the key to make this go. Because if you take him out and they're able to play man on man and just set it down, I don't know if Brandon Cooks has it in him to be that guy. And I don't know if the scheming is really doing it as much as CeeDee Lamb is just playing out of this world. And Dak Prescott is understanding what he's doing and taking full advantage of it.
Well, Dak's always been very confident. I've talked about it before on this show with trends that I was tracking where Dak will confidently throw into trouble sometimes because he is first read and fire. I don't care what's sitting over there. So I don't know what tweak him and McCarthy made where I guess he just understands what he's looking at a little bit better, but he is confidently firing still and he's hitting and we are moving the ball. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely it's going to be a fun game to watch because at the end of the day, you expect this Cowboys team to put up some points. Again, we said the Eagles have been giving away a lot of points in the last 5 weeks, and I don't think it's going to stop this week. I don't think that all of a sudden their defense is going to play at that next higher level.
No, but they're also not going to go away quietly into the night. They are going to scratch and claw.
No, they're going to go for it. Another big game, Jaguars at the Browns. The Jaguars.
Ugh.
It is a big game because the Browns are still trying to stay in playoff relevance. They have not said who's starting at quarterback. Joe Flacco could get the start, but they have not said yet. They've not announced. We don't know for the Jaguars either.
Right.
Beathard is injured, but he's working. Trevor Lawrence had that high ankle sprain. We thought he was going to be out at least 4 weeks. He's
unlikely.
He is practicing right now.
He is.
He wants to play in this game.
He was at practice. I wouldn't say practicing.
He's practicing.
He's okay.
Just not maybe full taking it with the ones.
Okay.
Christian Kirk is out for that game, though, so it does hurt their wide receiver core. You still do have Calvin Ridley. Zay Jones is still there. So you do have some good receivers. But I'm not putting Trevor Lawrence in that game.
No.
Against the Browns. I'm not letting Myles Garrett in my season. Because he goes and takes out Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, no thank you.
Because one bad hit or one thing like that, and he tries to plant his foot when the guys get like that's the thing, is that ankle sprain, you can make it so much worse by him trying to plant as he's getting hit. And now that ankle is going to be weak, and it's going to flip immediately, even as much as you want to tape it up or whatever else, and you're going to put more pressure on it. So it's not even a dirty hit or anything else. I think you risk too much going up against this Browns defense, that pass rush, and Myles Garrett, who drew a delay of game this year. He drew a delay of game this year because he was switching sides, and I believe it was the Titans were switching sides. We're switching two blockers, tight ends, with him to block him.
Oh my goodness.
So they were switching tight ends, and so every time the tight ends would move, he would just move to the other side. So the quarterback would have to call the switch back again, and they ran out of time on the play clock because Myles Garrett just kept moving. That's how much teams respect him, and he's going after guys.
Dude, he's having a hell of a season. He's out there doing basketball moves before he starts his pass rush. Yeah, absolutely not.
But this is a big one because they were a game ahead of the Colts. They were a game ahead of the Texans. Ooh. If they lose this game to the Browns, the AFC South is wide open again. The Texans have now beaten the Jaguars twice. They're ready to go in this. Or they beat them. They've been in once. They're tied 1-1 against the Jaguars, so that they don't you have to go back into tiebreaker mode for that one.
Right.
But the Colts are in a winnable game as well. And you could have a three-way tie atop of the AFC South now with the Titans looking on, because they had bad karma because they wore those Oilers jerseys that should belong to the city of Houston.
Oh, is that what happened? Is that what ended it for him?
Yeah, that's what ended it for him. It wasn't, trying to push
it wasn't
Derrick
their
Henry.
Stubbornness.
It wasn't pushing Derrick Henry out there like a car that hasn't gotten an oil change in 10 years, and they're like, nah, don't run more. We'll get to the next town.
No, by the way, we might trade you too. Oh, just kidding. We still want you here. Yeah.
By the way, we don't have another game plan. Right. But the Browns are 3-point favorites. They're at home.
Yeah.
This feels like a Browns game, right?
Give me the Browns. Give me the better defense when it's a matchup of backup QBs. And I'll take the Browns all day on that.
Yeah, the team that is winning in spite of not having a quarterback versus the team who it could be in a lot of trouble without their quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it could be third string as well because we know Beathard, their backup, is also ailing right now.
Well, it could be second or third string for the Browns. You don't know yet.
Yeah, it could be fifth or sixth string. We don't know for the Browns. Big game Rams and Ravens. The Rams have been turning it on lately, trying to get back in the playoff hunt. They're healthy they're the healthiest they've been in probably 2 years now.
Is
a
Kupp
year and a half.
Is he playing
Kupp is back. He's getting back into form. Stafford is playing well. They're getting back into that level. Couple interesting stats. The Ravens have won 7 straight games against the NFC.
Love that.
That's an interesting stat right there. They're also 29th against the run. Kyren Williams, who's a big reason why the Rams are back in, because Williams is running the ball at a high level right now. If you were lucky enough to get him in your fantasy league, hats off to you.
I was not.
Because he is doing, and I was not either. But the Ravens are 7.5-point favorites in this game, and it feels like the Rams should be able to hang in there. They've been playing pretty well. I know you're back in Baltimore, but they're pretty stout against the run. The Ravens aren't. It feels like you should be able to run the ball on them, slow the game down a little bit, and keep it within 7. I got the Rams keeping within 7.
You're going to do it? You're going to go with the Rams on the road?
Not to win, to cover 7.
Okay, to stay within the number. I have less faith in the Rams. I think they are still figuring it out. I think they are gaining momentum. I don't think they're there yet. I said yesterday I think the Ravens are the second most complete team in the NFL behind the 49ers, and I stand by that. And I think they're going to show you this weekend. I'm taking the Ravens by double digits in this game at home.
Right. I could see that, but I think the Rams they're finding a little bit more of that Super Bowl magic they're found
getting there.
a couple years ago. And against the Rams team, I think they don't get blown out in this game. And even if it's not, I think this is a game they're going to fight to the bitter end on. And so even if it is a 14-point game, I could see a late touchdown to push it back in within 7. Yeah. And we got the hook there at 7.5. Ooh. So I put him within with 7.
All right, cool.
Another game. This one's not really that close, but it could be the Seahawks going further downhill. Seahawks are at the 49ers, 11-point favorites. 11 points. Can the 49ers cover 11 points?
Normally, double-digit spreads in the NFL scare me regardless of matchup, but I think after what we saw last week, the 49ers of this season, when they have everything rolling, are an exception. I'll take the 49ers to cover 14 against Seattle at home.
Yeah, I have the 49ers covering. Unfortunately, this 49ers, the Seahawks team just doesn't seem like they're clicking on the cylinders they need to be clicking on right now. And Geno Smith finally came back, had a good game, but I'm not going to trust him to do that over and over again, especially against this San Francisco team. And the San Francisco offense just looks too good right now.
It just looks like a well-oiled machine.
And we've seen that Seattle defense. There's a couple guys on it that can play football, and the rest of them are going to be chasing Debo and chasing Christian McCaffrey and chasing Ayuk and chasing George Kittle the rest of the game.
It is in the division, and normally that should mean something. I just don't think right now.
I think it means something to Bobby Wagner.
I think with the run.
He can't tackle them all, though.
Right. With the run these 49ers are on, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. Bills at Chiefs.
What Josh Allen do we get?
With Josh Allen, and we're at the Chiefs. We're in Kansas City. Chiefs are a 1-point favorite, but the Bills have had more distractions this week. Everything going on. Von Miller's distraction. We know that they're having issues with Josh Allen. The reports that Sean McDermott used a 9/11 reference, which
how do you do that?
And I kind of tried to find the way that it works in my head.
There isn't one.
And I can't, unless someone explains to me, like, no, he was doing it about how it was bad or something, but I don't know.
He was emphasizing their teamwork and execution.
I know. That's what I keep reading. And that's why every time I read it, I'm like, did we miss something here?
There's no way.
No, it's terrible. So I think all this is happening. I've also heard rumors now, and I think Colin Cowherd's one of the front runners on this one, that the Bills hiring Harbaugh
really
seems like a thing where you're like, well, they're not that far away. And, they're built on defense. But they have this quarterback who's not great, but maybe a quarterback whisperer. And Harbaugh could come in and get Josh Allen to play at a high level. You could bring him in and be a tough nose, and they could be tough nose Bills. Oh. And you move on. If Sean McDermott, if this season spins out of control and you don't want to blow it up, you don't want to start over, and you're looking at people, it's an interesting idea that's another place that might look for a Harbaugh and say, well, we're not that far off. And, the teams, we're not going to be able to afford the team in 2-3 years anyway. So if you want a 2-3 year stop here in the NFL while things cool down in college for you, why don't you come here, try and win us a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years, and then once all the players retire because they can't stand you like they did in San Francisco, then go back to college again.
Do you think is this a Cowherd theory, or is he hearing this from somebody?
I don't know. I saw it mentioned, and I just saw it in passing mentioned, and I thought that's an interesting idea. And if you could say bet on it.
You could say bet on it.
What does bet stand for?
To bring everyone together.
It's the best. I love that he did that.
Bet.
Oh, I hate the phrase. I hate the phrase. So I'm thrilled that he's trying to ruin it.
Oh, well.
Broncos at the Chargers. Broncos have been stepping up, playing better and better. The Texans got the best of them last week, but I believe they've won 4 out of the last 5. So playing a lot better football since the beginning of the season. The Chargers have not been playing season. But an interesting fact, Denver leads the league in getting turnovers, and the Chargers can't hold on to the football. We now know that Brandon Staley is playing against Austin Eckler in fantasy football, so he says he might bench him because that's going to fix all their problems.
Isn't that wild?
That he's like, no, you know what it is? It's Austin Eckler.
We're giving him too many touches. We're giving him too many touches.
Brandon Staley, worry about your defense, buddy. Worry about your defense.
Yeah, how about we don't leave one person on Tyreek Hill, Brandon Staley? How about we do that?
Good Lord. So is this one a foregone conclusion that this is the kind of death knell to the Chargers season and it's over and the Broncos are feeling good again and getting closer to 5 and getting back to maybe getting a playoff hunt?
I can't believe the Chargers are favored in this matchup.
I think people still remember what the Broncos were before, and they did just lose to the Texans.
But their last 6 games show you
Well, they're going to slow down Austin Eckler. So I think we know that that's the problem.
Yeah. So it's the change in philosophy, obviously. Less touches for Austin Eckler clearly means the Chargers are going to do better. So with that being said, I'll take the Broncos plus 2.5 on the road.
Yeah, I have the Broncos plus 2.5 on the road as well. Another last game we'll talk about. The Texans are 3.5-point favorites at the Jets. Zach Wilson has been named the starter.
Oh, boy.
And for the rest of the season, God willing.
Well, he better be after Aaron Rodgers was sent to go defend him on national TV.
Oh, good Lord. This Texans team, they've been playing well, but they got to go on the road where they have not been as good as they've been at home. You have a bunch of young players trying to get out there. They've had some injuries. Tank Dell is still out. Is this offense good enough to not turn the ball over against the Jets and get the yardage they need? I'm not too worried about the other side of it. I don't think the Jets are going to put up more than 14 to 20. I think that's a pretty hefty number for the Jets.
I think that's being generous, the 14.
But can the defense find the way to make C.J. Stroud not the quarterback he's been all season? We know he's thrown some ones that were a little questionable. He's going to be playing against some good players. We're going to see Garrett Wilson versus Derek Stingley on one side, and we'll see, I'm guessing, Nico Collins versus Sauce Gardner, maybe Robert Woods. But do you have the targets to get the ball downfield?
I think so. I think the Texans, everything C.J. Stroud has shown you, even against tougher defenses, is it doesn't matter. His decision-making still isn't affected. He's still decisive. He's quick release with the ball. He knows where he's going, and it's a pretty ball every time. It goes to where it needs to go, except sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little wild, but I think he'll be able to rein that in enough to cover 3.5 against the Jets.
He does, and I don't think you have to be a air the ball out kind of. I think you can kind of play it a little bit more conservative, because I don't believe the Jets are going to score a ton of points.
Right.
So you can play it a little bit more conservative.
Get in the end zone 3 times, I think you win.